Doong Cave. Vietnam's Son Doong Cave is considered the largest in the world. Discovered in 2009, this partially submerged and vegetation-filled hideaway looks like the land that time forgot. It's a vibrant and secluded movie set without cameras, created between 2 to 5 million years ago and etched out of the surrounding limestone. The words Son Doong are Vietnamese for sunken water cave, which is an appropriate title for the exotic and extensive tunnels with cathedral-like ceilings and openings that let dazzling rays of sunlight pour through. Located deep in the Annamite Mountains, Son Doong is part of a web-like network of walkways etched into the crust. The British excavators who first traveled into Son Doong were able to explore 4 kilometers of the cave before reaching a 200-foot tall mud barrier dubbed the Great Wall of Vietnam by the team. It took the team another year before they could climb over the wall and move forward, seeing thin, shallow causeways with just enough room for the human body to squeeze through, followed by large chasms with the space to store a passenger jet. After the Asian and Indian tectonic plates crashed into each other millions of years ago, flowing water carved countless caves into the limestone, but Son Doong is considered by many to be the most scenic. Challenger Deep Mariana Trench. At 7 miles, the Challenger Deep inside the Mariana Trench is the lowest point in Earth's crust. Wedged into the Pacific Ocean between the Philippines and the Mariana Islands, this underwater canyon is 1,500 miles long and 43 miles wide. Originally charted by the HMS Challenger in 1875, the cartographers aboard this British ship used a weighted rope to find just how deep the trench extended. Wrapped in darkness, with barely above freezing temperatures and a pressure 1,000 times more compact than ours above sea level, the trench's ability to support life is up for debate. We've seen teeming undersea life gathered around black vents emitting heat from the magma-filled mantle in other deep spots of the ocean, so why couldn't it happen in the Challenger Deep? One of the few times an expedition was mounted to reach the bottom of the trench was in 1960 when Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh traversed to the bottom in a Navy submersible for 20 minutes and observed a flatfish near their floodlights. Some scientists believe Piccard saw a sea cucumber as the pressure at that depth would crush the bones of any known land animals. As more submersibles explore the trench, we may find more exotic examples of life in the deep Black Sea. East Scotia Ridge. East Scotia Ridge is another underwater hotspot, but this one is full of life. 1.5 miles beneath the sea around Antarctica, the waters around these geothermal vents often heat up to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. While that's enough to cook seafood in your kitchen, it's provided incredible biodiversity to this area, with hairy crustaceans called yeti crabs and pale white octopi who don't have any hue due to the intense darkness in the area. Formed 60 to 90 million years ago when 2 tectonic plates collided, the waters contain a diverse mixture of elements, and yet the animals that swarm in this area have evolved to thrive in this chaotic and highly pressurized aquatic neighborhood. The hair of the yeti crabs, for instance, are equipped to foster microorganisms that purify the chemicals in the surrounding water, allowing the crabs to survive and easily navigate the Black Seas. With these ancient and oftentimes untouched species, scientists have the chance to monitor the lifestyles of organisms existing in similar fashions to the first animals that popped up on Earth. This ecosystem promises to shed light on the past even when no sunlight can reach it. Sima Humboldt. In South America, sinkholes pierce plateaus of Guyana. One of the largest is Sima Humboldt, a pockmark with a deep-cut pit. First discovered by outsiders in 1961, the initial exploration of these holes was undertaken in 1974. This team encountered complications soon during their descent. The deeper into the sinkhole they descended, the wider the walls extended outward, in a concave cone fashion that made it very difficult to scale. Once they reached the bottom of the cavern, the team cut down trees to allow enough space for a helicopter to land through. In the process, unfortunately, the climbers ended up destroying previously unknown plant species that may never again be fully documented in order to clear enough space for the helicopter to lower into the pit to retrieve them. When they returned to the sinkhole, they were more prepared, which was good since the ruling government, aiming to protect the area, only gives out limited work permits for study. Alongside other smaller sinkholes, these are referred to by locals as the islands within the island, because their ecosystems can be very different even though they're only about a half-mile away from each other. Melville Range. By the 21st century, our world seems like it's well mapped out, but amazingly, certain lush environments are too overgrown to be completely charted. The area around Melville Range, however, was only explored more extensively within the past several years. Surrounded by a wall of massive boulders, each usually 5 to 10 times the size of a human, these giant rocks have protected the inner wildlife like skin and bones around vital organs. Wildfires, floods, and other disasters haven't been able to penetrate this walled natural fortress, and as a result, this portion of the jungle has been allowed to grow and evolve unimpeded. One of the most intriguing new species discovered in this area has been the leaf-tailed gecko. Like the green gecko we see selling insurance on television commercials, this animal probably also has an Australian accent, but that's where the similarities stop. Amazingly, it's evolved with a rigid tail that exactly matches the crinkled look of local leaves. With a camouflaging skin color ability, this gecko will be able to use his hiding abilities to survive for many more years, just like the Melville Range itself. With further expeditions into Cape Melville being planned, there's much more opportunity for discovery on the horizon. Palawan Highlands. In the Philippines, the Palawan Highlands are as beautiful and mysterious on the outside as their natural inhabitants can be deadly. They contain the normal animal populations you would expect to see in a jungle on the island nation, but it's also been found to have enormous pitcher plants. These giant bowl-shaped plants lie with their mouth-like openings facing skyward, waiting for some unfortunate creature to land near them. Like Venus flytraps, these green monsters will catch and eat whatever comes their way, whether it be rats or small monkeys. This newly discovered form of pitcher plant has been coined the scientific name of Nepenthes attenboroughii, in honor of famous naturalist David Attenborough. Another brand of pitcher plant was also discovered on the same remote mountaintop, not observed in nature for over a century, with the only known specimen ruined in a greenhouse fire around the same time of World War II. In addition to the diverse carnivorous plant population, researchers discovered new strains of neon blue mushrooms and vibrantly pink fauna. The Palawan Highlands, isolated from humanity, have been allowed to grow a beautifully dangerous biome with much more hidden wonders to discover. Pho Ha Mountains. A little over a decade ago, an official expedition first set foot in the Pho Ha Mountains of New Guinea and came back with evidence of new birds, amphibians, and marsupials. Uninhibited by the developing world, this small swath of mountains has fostered, for instance, the orange-faced honeyeater, which is the first flying animal discovered in the area in over half a century. The golden-mantled tree kangaroo was also discovered in the area, and it's a rare find. This mammal resides mostly in the tree branches of these mountains' higher altitude, and limited to the Pho Ha Mountains and Torricelli Mountains nearby, it's unfortunately close to extinction. According to the VP of the local Center for Biodiversity Conservation, Pho Ha is as close to the Garden of Eden as you're going to find on Earth, and he marveled at the amount of other species that flourished here while similar animals struggled for survival elsewhere in the world, like a bowerbird with tower-like nests and a beaked mammal who lays eggs. As this area of land is Asia's biggest tract of untouched jungle, hopefully it will stay as astoundingly full of life for years to come. Mount Roraima. Plateauing into the sky like a giant table for the gods, Mount Roraima is one of several flat highlands piercing the cloud cover. In many breathtaking images, this raised platform looks like a substitute for heaven, and isolated atop this rock with the sky at eye level and the entire world many feet below you, it would be hard not to get a god complex. This jewel of the Pacaraima mountain range is ancient. At 2 billion years old, it's among the oldest rock formations on Earth, and it's an important part of the heritage of South America as a whole, not just because of its size, but because it falls on the border of 3 separate countries: Guyana, Brazil, and Venezuela. Beyond its sheer beauty, Mount Roraima has been able to stay relevant thanks to its cameo in Pixar's hit film Up. Although the top of Roraima is fully isolated from the rainforest below, daily precipitation allows ever-cascading waterfalls and periodic bush vegetation that would be more at home on a fantasy-themed Lisa Frank folder than in real life. Please note that as enticing as the images of Roraima are, it's difficult to access these plateaus, and expert climbing skills are required to scale those rocky walls. Many of these exotic and secluded sites are hard to find and even harder to visit firsthand. Protected by bodies of water, natural rock barriers, government orders, or harsher elements, these places have thrived for millions of years thanks in large part to their isolation. And while we may be disappointed over the decreased chances we have of seeing these locations in person, we can at least celebrate the beauty of these images online. These may be the most amazing lost worlds on Earth, but the Hub has more exotic and out-of-this-world sites to show you. We'll see you again soon!